Hello and welcome to the FSC UK webinar, Checking FSC Certificates. Thank you for signing up to and attending the webinar. My name is Rachel Hembry. I'm the Business Advisor at FSC UK, and I'm your host for today. I hope you, your family and friends are well during these strange times. Lots of us are having to adapt to work from home and managing the challenges that come with that. All participants today are muted. We found that webinars work better when there's no background noises. It's not that we don't want to hear from you. And on that note, my neighbour's cockerel usually puts an appearance around this time of day, so I apologise in advance for any errant crowing from him. The session is being recorded today up until the Q&A session. Hopefully, if the IT allows, we will get this uploaded onto the FSC UK website. If you'd like to ask a question, if you look on the right-hand side of the GoToWebinar panel, there's a questions box. Please feel free to enter your questions in there. We won't read out the names of anybody that's asking a question, so it will be anonymous. Or if you prefer, you can email a question to us at info@fsc-uk.org, and we will follow that up after the webinar. I'm joined today by my colleagues Bethan Gratrix, Beth Bennett, and Rosie Teasdale, who will be keeping an eye on the questions box and will be assisting in answering those questions at the end of the session. So I'm going to turn off the webcam now to save bandwidth. This short webinar will introduce you to the FSC certificate database and will include tips on how to get the best results from it. Although designed primarily to help FSC license holders meet FSC requirements, we hope that this webinar will also prove useful to those specing FSC certified materials. I'll also be presenting the Certificate Status Watch tool to help you monitor any changes to your supplier certificates. So the FSC Public Certificate database is hosted by FSC International and can be found at the web address on the slide on the screen. The primary function of this database is to check the validity of FSC certificates. Although there is a product search section, the database was not established to enable people to find products. It is excellent at checking the validity of certificates. However, product searches can stretch it beyond its intended use, but I'll move on to that later. We're going to start with the importance of checking the status of a certificate holder. Page 9 of the FSC Chain of Custody Standard 40004 version 3, clause 2.2 explains the requirement of organisations with certification to regularly verify the validity and product group scope of the certificates of their active FSC certified suppliers through the database. FSC claims are required in cases where subsequent customers want to use the FSC certified products as input for the manufacturing of other certified products and or for the resale as FSC certified. If you require FSC certified materials or products, either to input into the manufacturing of other FSC certified products, for resale as certified, or to fulfill your specification, you need to make sure that you're buying from an FSC certified supplier who can make an FSC claim through their sales documents for the materials that they are providing. For organisations that hold a promotional licence, they should also be regularly checking the validity of the FSC status of their suppliers. So let's take a look at how to use the FSC database. You'll see on the left-hand side here, we've got 5 menu options. Now we're going to be focusing primarily on the certificate search menu, as well as the certificate holder login, which will lead us on to the certificate status watch. So you'll see these green question marks next to each field. If you hover over these will bring up tips on the kind of information that you can put into the box. So starting at the top, the FSC license code is a 6-digit code that can be found on FSC certified labelled products, and it belongs to the organisation that applied the label to the product. Please note that the database always defaults to always return searches of valid certificates, as well as those sites included in multi-site and group certificates. By removing the tick here, group scheme members and multi-site certificates will not appear in the search results. So these defaults can all be changed just by clicking on the drop-down menu or unticking that box. So we're going to enter the code of a certificate holder here in its entirety. And then we're going to click search. So entering the FSC code that I just entered will return information about FG Curtis's certificate. So we'll start at the top here. So you can see the information comes from today. The certificate code is listed here. Any former certificate code will also appear, and the license code that brought us to this page. Here we've got the name and address and the website address of the certificate holder. And then we've got information here about their certificate. So their status is valid. This is the very first date that they had their certificate issued back in 2007. This is when the last issue date of the certificate was given. This is the expiry date, and this is the standard of which they have been audited against. Here we've got information about whether or not they are members of a group scheme or hold a multi-site certificate. So we'll see here that that's not the case. Moving down to the products, we can see here that Curtis have got packaging and wrappings of paper, specifically cardboard packaging, within their scope. And we can see that their main output category is FSC mix and FSC recycled. Now, before GDPR, the contact details of the chain of custody contact used to appear within this contact section here. New trademark license agreements for certificate and promotional license holders will hopefully address this issue so that contact details can be seen once again. Where we can see here the standard of which Curtis have been audited against, it's just worth noting that all FSC documents, whether or not that's standards or interpretations, anything like that, can be downloaded from the FSC International Document Centre. So we'll go back here. Now, because the license code still appears here, we would always recommend clicking Reset Data, so that wipes the slate clean and starts you off again. So now looking at the name, if you know the name of the organisation you wish to find, you can enter it here. Using an asterisk will return any results with any part of what you've typed in the box. So this search function is quite sensitive, and it does rely on you entering the exact company name as it's been entered onto the database. So it can be better to enter a shorter version of the name and use the asterisk. So we'll click on search, and then this will bring up a list of everybody with the name Curtis within their company name. And here we go with the Curtis that we're looking for. Going back to the main page again, if we wanted to look, let's clear that. If we wanted to find certificates just based in the UK, we'd go here and select the United Kingdom. Now you can refine your search further by drilling down. So as we're in Powys, I'm going to ask the database to return a search of all FSC certificates based in Powys. And I click on search. So this gives me a list of all organisations based in Powys that have certification. Let's go back again. Now, if I untick the Show Sites member box and run that search again, I'm looking for valid certificates in Powys that are not members of a group scheme or have multi-site certification. And then that returns fewer results. So we go back again and reset the data to clear it. So another way of checking whether or not a certificate code is valid is to actually enter the certificate code if you have it. So we're going to enter the code for Curtis again. So this is an abbreviation of the certification body, so they're all listed there. And then this is the type of certificate we're looking for. So in this case, chain of custody. And then we're going to enter Curtis's certificate code and click search. So again, this brings us back to Curtis using their certificate code. Just to explain a little bit about these two fields here, the FSC controlled wood and the controlled wood risk assessment boxes are by default unticked. So putting a tick in the FSC controlled wood box will show FSC certificate holders that are allowed to handle and sell controlled wood. And the controlled wood risk assessment box will only show FSC certificate holders that conduct risk assessments for the purposes of sourcing controlled wood from uncertified suppliers. We'll come back to the product search box after I've explained how the certificate status watch works. Now, certificate status watch is only available to license holders. So we're going to look at this menu on the left-hand side here, and we're going to click certificate holder login. So this will bring you to the FSC trademark login portal. Now, the person within your organisation with responsibility for your FSC work will have a login for the trademark portal. Now, if the password has been forgotten, you can reset this using your username. If you don't know your login details or have forgotten them, they can be requested from your certification body if you are a certificate holder, or you can contact FSC UK or if you are a promotional licence holder. So we're going to log in. And then on the left-hand side here, you'll see about halfway down, we've got certificate status watch. This is a tool that allows you to track any changes to your supplier's FSC status. Here, you can add a license code of any organisation whose certificate you'd like to track. So if you add certificates to this list, you will be informed by email when they are terminated or suspended after a 14-day grace period. So you enter the license code here in the format requested. And then we click add. So this will add Curtis as an organisation to our watch list. So if anything happens to the status of their certificate, you would get notified. Now, it is possible to export this as a CSV file and import it into Excel simply by clicking onto it here, and then you've got your download here. Now, this is a really useful tool, and we would urge you to add your suppliers to it. So we'll go back to the database now and move on to the product section. So as I explained earlier, the certificate search database is excellent at checking the validity of certificates. It can also help find suppliers of FSC certified products, but it was not designed for this. It has its limitations in that it cannot separate sites and group scheme members, and it is not currently possible to search the product classification by members of group schemes. The more detail an organisation completes when detailing the products it can supply, going beyond just a level 1 entry, the easier it is for people to find products. So some organisations just fill in the top level products rather than drilling down into the detail of what can be supplied. So this puts limitations on the usefulness of the database for people who are searching for products. We know potential customers appreciate as much information as possible on products in scope. So we encourage certificate holders to provide information on the product classifications in scope beyond this top level. The FSC standard 40004A stipulates the product type nomenclatures that shall be used by certificate holders for the purpose of classifying FSC product groups in accordance with the chain of custody standard 40004. By selecting level 1, this brings up the top level within the product group search. So for example, if I wanted to find FSC certified wood panels, let's say specifically I'm looking for plywood. So I'm looking for all certificate holders globally, because I haven't selected a country or area, that have a valid certificate who have FSC certified plywood within their scope. Now, as you'll see, this will return 171 pages of organisations that have that within their scope. It's quite a lot to go through. So if I decide to change this to just returning UK certificates, now sometimes a blip with the database is that having gone back and changed that to the UK, I've lost the ability to enter the level 2 data, which is why it's a good idea to just reset it each time. So I'm going down again to the UK, and I'm looking for wood panels, plywood, and then clicking search. So that hones down the search results and only gives me 26 pages this time. If I want to refine my search further, let's reset the data. And I want to look for organisations who can supply me with that in Powys, more specifically, for my DIY project this weekend, because I'm not allowed to go very far. Then I get these organisations here. Let's go back and reset the data again. So finally on the database, looking at the species box here, if I'm searching for a particular species of timber, this is where I should be entering that using the Latin name. So I'm going to look for some oak. And again, let's look at who can provide that for me in Powys. So here we go. I've got a page of certificate holders in Powys who have got oak within their certificate scope. Now, it's important to remember when using the database to find suppliers of specific FSC certified products that many suppliers trade in both certified and uncertified products. Therefore, you must remember to specify FSC certified products or materials when you're ordering. It's also worth noting that the database does not reflect real-time availability, and therefore you should always contact a supplier to check that they can supply FSC certified materials. So finally, just to talk about updating your contact details on the database. If you are a certificate holder, please contact your certification body who will be able to help you. Contact FSC UK if you're a promotional license holder and would like to update your details, and we will help you do that. So before we move on to the Q&As, just to say, please don't hesitate to contact us at FSC UK. We're very happy to help. We're all working from home, as I said, so the best way to contact us is to email info@fsc-uk.org. Finally, if you have ideas for future webinars, please let us know, and we'd love your feedback on this bite-sized structure.